Imagine you have a table of values that need converting. Maybe it's a list of abbreviations that you need expanded into full terms, or maybe you need to rank items such as small, medium, or large into numbers like 1, 2, 3. While you may be tempted to use the if function for this, don't do it. There's actually a simpler function for this that you may never have heard of. It's called switch. In this video, I'll show you exactly how the switch function works, share some handy tips and tricks, and as a bonus, I'll introduce you to a couple of alternatives to switch in case it isn't the perfect fit for your unique spreadsheet. Hi, I'm Rebecca, and I teach Excel users how to create spreadsheets they can be proud of. Welcome to Excel Power Up. If you use Excel in any capacity, you're in the right place. You can optimize all of your spreadsheets with my free masterclass, the Spreadsheet Tune-Up. In just 5 videos, you'll learn how to upgrade any spreadsheet. Start now and you'll have more efficient and user-friendly spreadsheets right away. So here is the example data that I'll be working with. I have an abbreviation which just has the first letter of these learning models. A lot of the data that I use is the learning models in schools. And so these are some example learning models, and then let's say we wanted to rank them with the most in-person option being last. So we have virtual, hybrid, in-person is 1, 2, 3. So let's make some test data. I like to make my own test data whenever possible. So I'm just going to literally randomly create some abbreviations here in a list, and then I want to take this formatting off real quick, so I'm just going to use the formatting painter. Okay, and then I'll make a table using Control-T. My table has headers. Yes, it does. And then I always like to change the style. It's such a quick thing, but I just like it. Anyway, so now we're going to convert all of these abbreviations into a learning model based on these codes. So what we're doing here is, if you're into data, I would call this recoding. We're essentially taking values as they come, like as an abbreviation, and replacing each value with a different one. What we're not doing any math or any kind of logic that involves more than one value. So we're not going to be using any ranges, numbers, nothing like that. You can use numbers, but they are literal values. We're not doing any math. Okay, so starting here, we will just use switch, open parentheses. The first argument is expression, which means what's the input? What value are you taking in? And that will be the abbreviation. Then we will make a list of pairs of value and result. So the first value is V, comma, and then the result for that value is virtual. So we're converting from V to virtual. And then we have to do that for every single one. I means in person, and then close parentheses. And as you can see, it successfully converted all of these from an abbreviation to a learning model. Now let's go over to rank, and I'll show you a slightly different way to do it. Which is, we can still use the switch function, and let's grab the learning model here as the expression. But then instead of typing out the values in the results, let's just grab it from this table up here. I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut F4 to add absolute references, which is these dollar signs, because then even when this formula is dragged down the whole column, this reference will not change. And then what's the result of the virtual? It's going to be this cell. So I'll do F4 again. And then you can see I'm doing the same exact process for each pair. And you may be asking, or you may be thinking, this looks fine when you only have 3 options, but what if you have more? I'll get to that later. So right now you can see we have the ranking has done its job. It's converted each value into a number. So what if we have a blank? That's the next question. is it will return NA unless at the end of this formula you add a comma and then it says default or value 4. What that means is that here's where we want to put what do we want the default to be. So if the expression, meaning the learning model, doesn't match any of these values that we've already put in, what do you want the result to be? So I'm just going to put double quotes, which means nothing. So that takes care of that. That takes care of any missing or weird values that could possibly be. It's just going to return a blank. So now the question is what to do if you have more than only a small handful of options, or you want it to be more dynamic, meaning if I change anything in this table, it will automatically change this larger data table. For this, there are two options. The first one is I would suggest a lookup function. I prefer XLOOKUP just because it's newer, it's a little bit more flexible, but if you already use VLOOKUP or something, just use that. So we would take this abbreviation column as the first argument, which is the lookup value. Then the lookup array is you would go to the exact same column in your, I call this an options table. And then the return array is what do you want to get out? What we want to get out is the learning model column. And then value if not found, I usually always do this one as just double quotes, which will return nothing if nothing matches. And then as you can see, it's just one step. I don't have to put this entire list in here. And if I add something to, if I change this option table, you can see it automatically changed all of those. And let's see what happens if it's blank. The function just returns a blank. And the last alternative is called the choose function. The choose function chooses a value from a list based on an index number. So this only works if the input for this recoding is a number. So that's why I've filled in the rank column, but I've left learning model blank. So if you have like a ranking, you have numbers, and they represent items in a list like this, here's how you can do that. The index number is the number, and then the values, all the next bunch of arguments are just the values in order, starting with 1, 2, 3, 4. So what's the value if that index number is 1? Well, it's this closed. And I'm going to put, press F4 to put absolute values on it. And then 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we've recoded, we've switched up the rank from the rank to the learning model based on this table. This is a great option if you don't have an options table and you just want everything to be in one formula. You can make a nice little list here. For example, you could do small, medium, large, if you wanted to recode from 1, 2, 3 to small, medium, large. That would also work. Let me know in the comments how you plan to use the switch function. I've included links in the description box to the Microsoft support articles for all the functions we talked about in today's video. There are also links to my free Excel masterclass, my online course, and all my social media accounts if you want to connect.